Hello, my name is Philip Totaro. I'm the founder and CEO of market research firm IntelStor. Welcome to your weekly dose of truth to power. Truth to Power examines data driven insights for the energy sector with a focus on renewables. On this week's episode, we'll tackle the impact of the newly signed tax and budget bill in the USA on the revenue, profitability, and growth in the wind energy market. Well, we've all seen what the current US administration's hysteria over renewable energy has done to the industry in the past 6 months. The uncertainty has now been replaced by a rather unfortunate environment for wind and solar project development. Wind power already provides a little over 10% of the electricity in the United States, and solar is almost at 4%. So, with that in mind, let's go through the changes to the policy enacted by this bill. Firstly, wind and solar facilities that begin construction after July 4th, 2026, are required to be placed in service by the end of December 2027 to receive any production tax credits. Projects which can start construction prior to July 4th, 2026 can avoid the start of construction and online date restrictions to claim the PTC. Additionally, there are new restrictions regarding foreign entities of concern. So at IntelStor, we've calculated what this means for revenue to the asset owners. As I noted in a recent Truth to Power episode, wind energy asset owners alone have received more than $66 billion in PTC revenue since the program was first started back in the early 1990s. The cuts made by the bill will result in approximately $12 to $16 billion less in revenue to asset owners. The variance in the range is due to expected variations in annual production, as well as expected reductions in capacity additions without having the PTC available after 2027. There are currently 30.04 gigawatts of new greenfield wind energy projects currently under construction or consented in the United States. A fraction over 3.9 gigawatts, or just over about 13%, is at risk of not being able to claim the full value of the PTCs since they may not be able to start construction by the deadline next year. Additionally, there's a total of 25.652 gigawatts in the interconnection queue. Only about 11% of this capacity, or 2.82 gigawatts, will actually be built prior to 2029, assuming that power purchase agreement prices remain at current average levels. If power purchase agreement prices were to rise even further from 2024 levels, then more of this capacity that's in the interconnection queue would be able to be built by 2029, but this would likely only be a very modest increase of about 1 to 2 gigawatts above what's anticipated. Keep in mind as well, the IRS has some control over what constitutes the start of construction. If the administration orders them to increase the current threshold or changes the safe harbor requirements, that could further reduce PTC revenue generated. The desire to safe harbor turbines as quickly as possible is likely to result in a spike in turbine sales during the remainder of 2025. OEMs will have some pricing power given the policy driven deadline. Safe harboring of turbines has previously contributed to the justification for the start of construction, which a project developer could use to claim the production tax credit. Now, some projects just cannot be built or repowered without the full value of the production tax credit that would have been available between 2028 and 2032 when the PTC was originally expected to start ramping down. Projects that were built in 2019 through 2022 that were counting on being able to repower with the benefit of the PTC during that time frame are now in jeopardy. And unfortunately, they can't repower early since they would not requalify for the production tax credit if the project is not more than 10 years old. Almost 50% of the operational wind energy capacity in the USA is less than 10 years old. There are a total of 62.115 gigawatts of wind energy capacity additions that became operational during that period between 2019 and 2022. However, only 5.868 gigawatts, or about 9.5% of that installed capacity, were not going to break even during the lifetime of the project based on the current production tax credit regime that they already had. And that's only going to get worse for projects which are no longer going to be able to take advantage of their production tax credit after 2027. We're estimating at IntelStor a total of more than 18.75 gigawatts of wind energy will not achieve a full net positive return on capital prior to the end of asset life under the changes in this new tax and budget bill. So, what does that mean? Well, asset owners will be forced to extend life or refurbish their projects in the hope that the production tax credit is reinstated during the 121st Congress that will come into term in January of 2029. It's unlikely to happen before then. Without a PTC reinstatement, the domestic and foreign investors who put approximately 20 billion into those projects that were built between 2019 and 2022 will be left with investments that will simply never turn a profit for them. Now, one other change that I mentioned in the bill is this notion that a prohibited foreign entity is excluded from receiving any tax credits. In practical terms, what that means is only Goldwind might potentially be impacted by the language in this bill for projects that they might try to self develop. Specifically, the tax and budget bill defines entities listed under the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act as being on the prohibition list. But another definition of a specified foreign entity in the bill that would preclude companies from claiming either production tax credits or manufacturing tax credits relates to entities that are alleged by the Attorney General to have engaged in conduct for which conviction was obtained under certain laws. This could have an impact on Adani Group from India and preclude them from entering the US market if they were to be convicted of any securities fraud or financial crimes linked to the SEC bribery charges made public back in November 2024. So, all in all, what does this mean for the full industry? Well, companies who offer engineering, procurement, and construction services or asset life extension services, which are either data driven operational improvements or mechanical component refurbishments, they'll see strong demand in the next 4 years. The industry will continue to find ways to thrive as it waits out a more favorable policy environment to get the industry back on track and competing on a level playing field with oil and gas who already have permanent subsidies in place. Thank you for joining me this week. I'm Philip Totaro, and this has been your weekly dose of truth to power. Follow us on IntelStor's YouTube channel as well as your favorite audio platforms, and visit www.intelstore.com to join more than 200,000 subscribers to our renewable energy data solutions. A full analysis of the impacts to the wind energy sector from the tax and budget bill is available to subscribers. And don't forget to register today for the next Wind Summit event in Houston, Texas this October. Visit www.windsummit.org and join hundreds of your industry colleagues from companies like NextEra, EDPR, EDF, Pattern Energy, Clearway, Apex Clean Energy, and more. We hope to see you there.